I was born with you. I was born with you. I was born with you on the same day.
Women carry their babies for 9 months, but they carry their birth stories for life. New mums often leave hospital services before they have had a chance to reflect upon and tell the story of their birth. Once home and immersed in the flurry of new family life, it is hard for women to find the time, energy or stillness needed to deeply explore their birth experience. Mothers groups, online communities and family and friends may offer a brief ear, but many find they are too often silenced if they attempt to tell the story of the birth of their child in its fullness. Perhaps their story is too positive, perhaps it is too horrific, or perhaps their story, good or bad, just doesn't want to be heard at all. Birthing Stories is a project designed to let these stories be heard many times by many people. I am Tessa Kowaliw, a consumer advisor, speaker and program facilitator, and I co-designed this initiative with Heather Frahn, sound therapist, music artist, vocalist and meditation guide. We hope to do several things with this project. We wanted to offer women a precious opportunity to step out of daily life and explore the meaning of their birth experience to themselves as mothers and also as individuals. In order to support women to find their voice, we sought to capture the rich diversity of their stories through a range of creative methods, including written, visual and audio formats. We wanted to document their stories in dynamic and engaging ways to make them accessible to as broad an audience as possible. Lastly, we hope to reinvent and reform the birth story genre to empower women to share their experiences in a variety of ways and for a variety of purposes. The Birthing Stories project outcomes are a multimodal documentation of birth stories from 8 beautiful women: Claire, Carol, Catherine, Tegan, Leah, Briar, Sarah and Rainbow. The creative outcomes include Born With You, a song for relaxation, various visual art pieces, poetry and song lyrics, and this Vox Pop recording which you are listening to now. Because birth stories can often be huge, unwieldy narratives, Heather and I decided to ask participants to, through our workshop processes, distill their experience into 4 chapters. The moment when they found out they were pregnant, their labour, the first time they held their baby, and finally, their birth experience as considered in retrospect with the wisdom and knowledge they hold today. We also recommend listening to this Vox Pop more than once if you can. Though there are 8 birth stories captured here, there is an infinite number of insights and so much inspiration to be found in these women's words, which move beyond clinical lexicon. As we worked together, participants discovered their own language to talk about birth, with resonance, clarity and truth.
So my period was a bit late. Joel was interstate and we were Skyping. I held up my pee on a stick and I looked away. "Darl," he says, "I think you want to see this." I think he means it's positive, but can that be? Can good really come? Can good really be here?
The moment I fell pregnant, I never believed I could fall pregnant. I always felt like it was something so alien. I did not feel like anything was different enough to be pregnant. I thought it would be so much more apparent to me.
This tiny being will be ours, my love. 2 mums made a baby, a dream coming true.
That scan, a dark room. There it is, tears. Waiting next to that vending machine and holding back tears. I'm scared.
My feeling of that moment is hope and determination for the pregnancy, and unlike my previous pregnancies, not giving up my world for it. My plan was to hike the mountains in Indonesia in a few weeks, so I did that, and I just felt, how many more pregnancies will there be before there'll be a baby? So this hope was in me, but also it will be what will be.
Standing on the edge of a beautiful ocean, ready to dive in. But am I doing the right thing? I've wanted this all my life, but can I really do this? I'm scared.
That barely visible pink line made me so excited. I was happy, relieved and hopeful.
Finding out I was pregnant, I felt such profound relief and joy. But it was also an incredibly fragile experience, and I felt like it could be taken away from us at any moment.
It was hard and fast. It was way harder and way faster than I was ready for. I wish I'd been able to be the Zen hypnobirther with the oils, the music, the affirmations, the calm breathing, the yoga that I'd planned. Instead, I was a bellowing, swearing, grumpy, heaving, groaning woman who was scared shitless and felt totally out of control and declared, I can't do this.
When I went into labour, my midwife told me I was to be induced. I was in disbelief, knowing that somewhere or another I was going to have my baby soon. Induction was so difficult to get started. For 2 days, my body fought every attempt to bring on labour. When that was finally achieved, labour was hard and contractions were on top of each other for hours. And I cried out. I yelled through every contraction. It was hard to breathe. For me, there was no wave, just a wall of pain that kept hitting hard.
Water. Get her into water. Find food. Find drink. Stay close. Rest. She's coming.
Room 17, our people are here now. We're okay. It's happening. Theatre, it's so bright. Where's my calm? It's serious now. I'm bracing for grief.
I can do this, the baby is coming, I've got such an amazing birth support, my partner, my doula, and we can do it. The labour's going on and on and on and on, and we've moved through all different motions, we're standing up for contractions, we're moving this baby down, and yeah, that's what I hold on to about my birth. And the power that I felt in moving him down was just, yeah, it was beautiful.
Why is this not working for me? I'd done all my research, but I really knew nothing. I need more guidance, more options. I wanted to believe my body was capable of birthing, not giving up and being cut open.
My labour was like a foggy morning. There was a stillness and anticipation. The path was unclear, a seemingly endless wait, and an underlying feeling of hope.
My labour was an extremely complicated experience, and I find it incredibly difficult to sum up. It was transcendent and mundane. It was alone and connected. It was beautiful and traumatic, and I can't tell just one side of that story.
I remember his eyes, big, wide, deep, oh so deep, dark, almond-shaped eyes, silently looking up at me, wordlessly gazing into my eyes. And those same eyes that still gaze wordlessly and deeply into my own. It's like they were eyes that were too big and too advanced for such a little soul who had just appeared, but they were so big and so deep.
After 13 hours, I needed reassurance that this was progressing somewhere. I asked my midwife to check me, but hardly anything seemed to have happened. Very quickly, I lost hope. I gave up my fight. I needed my break, and my midwife could see that too. She suggested an epidural and I agreed. What happened next still wonders me and confuses me. Suddenly my body progressed from hardly anything to ready to push. An hour of pushing and Xavier was earthside.
Hi baby, happy birthday. I'm your mama. Skin on skin, arms full at last. She's okay, she's here, but mummy is away.
The lift, warm blankets, and I fell in love with you.
Joy, 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 and relief that he's alive, I'm alive. And then, you start to wonder, okay, can I even hold him? Somebody help me hold him now, because I've had so many drugs. I actually am a bit tired and I need to rest.
I felt like the sun finally came out after a long storm that had clouded my life since the birth of my first child.
Finally, I got to see her face and feel her warmth against my chest.
I can't clearly remember the feeling of holding my baby for the first time. They took me out of the room for surgery and I feel like I haven't really been able to get back into that room. When we walked out of the hospital 5 days later, it was freezing cold at night and she was tiny and wrapped up really well because we knew it would be cold. And the sense of the fragility of her and the weight of her in my arms. And then we walked in the door and I walked into the house and it was like that was my first sense of she was safe now. I had done it. I hadn't just birthed her. I didn't feel like she was properly here until we got her home again. And I wept. My whole body just opened up and sobbed. It was like a thunderstorm in my skin, with just relief and dread and fear and a sense of being able to breathe after holding my breath for weeks. And I just curled up on the floor around her and just held my heart out with just such tremendous relief that she was here and she was okay and we were home and we were going to be okay. It was a big experience.
You are so strong, Carol. Always stronger than you think, always stronger than it actually feels. You thought and really thought you couldn't do it, but you did. It's true what they say. Finny wasn't the only being to be born that day. You were also born as a mother and continue to be so.
When I held Xavier, there was so much joy and shock. It took me a while to realise that my body had succeeded in creating another life. He was too perfect and I was overwhelmed with pride. I wish I could experience that moment and that feeling again. I would go through that process of birth every day, all over and over again for Xavier. Together we have become the perfect 3 unit. I wonder what we did before Xavier became, because it's hard to remember life without him. I'm so proud of him. I don't care if it's the rose-coloured glasses of motherhood that I'm looking through. He's the most beautiful being in my life.
I witnessed my daughter roared into life by the woman I love and respect most. But it was my birth too.
Our bed, milk everywhere, the calm, our bubble.
We're calm, we're strong, and we have to look after ourselves and look after each other. As a family, things can be really, really tough. We can get through it, and constantly reaffirming how hard we work during the pregnancy and the labour.
Allow yourself to feel all the feelings, everything fully. And even if it doesn't feel great in the moment, everything is as it needs to be. You are enough.
You don't need to worry about having to fight for your rights during labour. You were informed and your choices were respected. That made all the difference.
The view that I have now that I would go back and tell myself is that the goal of not having a traumatic birth is not 100% under my control. That if I'm not able to pull that off, which in my case I wasn't, then I'm right to be really bloody angry about that. That's okay. That's an okay response to that aspect of it, and it doesn't take away from all of the things that were absolutely beautiful and the people that were wonderful and connected.
You have no idea what's coming, and you'll get through, and it will be bigger, better, harder, more profound than you can ever comprehend, but it will be okay. To be honest, often I don't know at the time, thinking about the hard bits, which there are many, sleep being our biggest challenges now, but you just do it because you have to do it. Like in labour, you do it because you have to do it. There's no going back. And for me, I really think along the way, I can't do this, but you do it because you have to. And I can do it. I can do it. Yeah. And I'm stronger than I realise at the time. So I think for me, strength is like a hindsight thing, that I realise that I'm strong and can do it. Along the way, often I doubt that I can. But maybe that's what the advice is, to know that you can do it, you are strong, you can do it.
Everything is going to work out really well. I just had to trust the process, and that I will be so happy if I do trust it.
The thing that I wrote was speaking to that past me was, I didn't know you. I thought I knew you, but I didn't know you. And then in an instant, I knew you with every fibre of my being. I knew the mum that I was going to be instantly, even though I had no idea who she was prior to that. It's okay to not know how it's going to unfold. It's still beautiful.
You are about to fall in love like you never have before. There's euphoria like you haven't believed. Hold on. You've got this. Just hold on tighter.
You've done so well and you're doing so well. There's nothing else you can do. You've just worked your hardest.
Trust your intuition. Speak your voice. Stand up for yourself. And you are enough.
I don't need to put others' considerations before my own, because I think that makes a big difference in birth. I shouldn't have to consider other people's agendas. I should just be able to be present on my journey with my baby. Yeah, be present on the journey. I think until you've experienced something, sometimes you don't listen anyway. I think sometimes you try to please other people, and it doesn't necessarily work out best for you when you're doing that. Put yourself first and trust your gut. Different people that I've met obviously have different education, but I had a gut feeling, and I think that's worth quite a lot as well.
There's so many things in life where you cannot make it the way you need it to be, but you can symbolically interact with it, whether that's in art or in dreams or in poetry or in the way that we choose to frame the stories. There's power there that can't be taken away from us, but it has to be married to authenticity. Authenticity, creativity, symbolism, and connecting back to other people or back to that common ground. There's a universality to experiences, whether they're amazing and profound or vulnerable, and being able to find that place where it's not just me, and when my experiences are making sense of them, create a little bit of safety for somebody else to make sense for theirs. That gives me great hope and great strength and ability to walk into territory I otherwise couldn't cope with.
Rocking gently, heart to heart.
So the Birthing Stories project is now complete. These 8 women continue to mould, shape, retell and make sense of their own birthing experiences. This is part of the beauty of their stories. They are constantly in process, growing and changing, just as mothers continue to grow and change alongside their children. We would like to thank the Friends of the Women's and Children's Hospital for funding this pilot project, Heather Donaghy and Alan Ball for their support, and the 8 Birthing Stories participants for generously sharing their time, stories and personal insights.
I was born with you. I was born with you. I was born with you on the same day.